everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about gigs. Last time we talked, we went through some of the things that, it's like now that it's time for gigging, people are getting out of COVID, they're starting to perform and stuff like that. Let's talk about some gig setup things and stuff like that. And so we're going to go ahead and express a few things that are our opinions, our thoughts, our experience, because we've played many gigs,
many shows, many years,
right? And some of it will be like club related, some of it bigger related. But let's kind of get into some things that you should think about before you go to the gig.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, I don't know about you, but when I go to a gig, I always take 3 guitars.
3 guitars, yes.
Right. I'm annoying in that way because so
I've taken 1 before.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
but two guitars. For backup, always.
Recently, I did a flyaway gig, and I took 2 guitars, right? One on the airplane, and one, or two I carried with me, right?
Yeah.
Which we should talk a little bit about that. If you're doing flyaway gigs, a lot of people have a lot of questions about what you can take on a plane, what you cannot take on a plane, what's safe to do on a plane, right? And and just some general guitar care stuff. So let's kind of touch on that for a second first.
Right.
Like Jason always warns me about not putting my guitars in the trunk of my car. Why, Jason?
Well, because first off, it's like a little oven, just a little oven in there. You put it in there, especially in like right now in LA, it is hot. Guitar in the trunk. I think trunks can get up to, dare I say, 120 degrees, 110 degrees, 120 degrees. They can get up there. And with anything, especially with acoustics and anything made with hide glues, things like that start separating. Glues come undone. Necks warp, twist.
Yeah,
not so good.
You can pop off your bridge on a nice acoustic.
Yeah, it can go
like
bad. And just in general, it's bad. I mean, it just heat on guitars is not something you want. Neither is extreme cold, but heat is not good at all.
Yeah, because a lot of those glues will start to separate.
Everything will soften at different temperatures, but it get really hot in cars and trunks, and the glue will just start softening. And white glues have a higher temperature, but hide glues, which majority of quality acoustics and pretty much all Gibsons, I think, although they may use white glue nowadays, but older stuff, it's all hide glue. I mean,
so it's like
soft.
It's sort of like the better your guitar is, the more dangerous it is to have it in your trunk. Right?
To a point, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like because you start getting into nitros or lacquerish type finishes, hide glues, and pretty soon they're all kind of problematic.
It's all bad.
Now,
heat not good.
So one, if your gig is in the daytime or anything like that,
consider that stuff. If you keep it in the car with the AC on, or at least, in a temperature that's closer to where you're going to be at. If you're playing in, I don't know, let's throw out there an oddball, Vegas or a modern club that's heavily AC'd, travel in your car AC, because you'll be less time to have to climatize to the temperature of the club versus what your car may be, if you can do that.
Right, but keep it in the car. Because,
but in the car, that's what I'm saying, with the AC.
In the trunk, it's isolated by the seats, and it may be 30, 40 degrees hotter in the trunk than it is in your car.
You can have your AC blast, your trunk's still going to be hot. It's not good. Not good.
I've done this, and he's scolded me many times.
It's a common repair I see with customers to having guitars cut in the trunk. Yeah, I opened up one day and the bridge was off. Did you travel in your trunk? Yes. Well,
that's what happened. Yeah. Right. So when it comes to playing the gig, now it's going to depend on your region, right? For example, somebody playing gigs in New York, right, might use what we refer to as taxi cab amplifiers, right? They want like a deluxe or something small like that. I wouldn't do well there. Right. Yeah, well, it's
I
like
want my full stack. I don't like that.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting, right? It's like, in LA, you probably have a better PA system from everybody that I've talked to in New York, right? And gigs I've seen in New York often, they go back and forth from having an amazing PA system to not, so you can't really guarantee which show you're going to at a club. So it's weird that we in LA tend to take 412s and big cabinets, right?
I mean,
but we have the same space restrictions.
True.
But in New York, they tend to take smaller amps and
not be as loud because they're smart.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing.
LA is bad for that. I don't know if other states are that way, but LA is notoriously, for it comes to gigs, loud.
Yes.
Because we do big amps. We get any other club, they want to have small combos and things. They're going to run through the PA.
Well, in Middle America, you can definitely take a larger gig.
Oh, okay,
but
I haven't played too many in the Middle America.
I remember I played that gig in Oregon last month, and I sent you a text and I'm like, oh, Jason, I had to play it combo.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like the sad maker for me because if I don't play it. But I love combos just for specific things, but I'm used to playing a 412 live. And I wanted that.
Background, yeah.
So several things that you should take to the gig. Number one, obviously you should take at least one guitar. Right? For me, I end up taking 3 guitars. 2 is probably safe. I'm just a little overly anal. But the other thing is that I have a singer in my band who is a little bit of a wild card. And so I always bring extra cables for him as well as for myself.
Gotcha.
And my bass player. I always kind of like have an assortment of like, I try and like, if he forgets a guitar cable, I have one for him. If he forgets a guitar plug, I have one for him. If he forgets a speaker cable, I have one for him. I know Jack will remember his head. Right. But he might not bring an AC cable and a speaker cable, right? So I just try and think ahead of those things. So always try and think ahead. And then I think guitar players, often they think of things that they don't need and they give themselves extra travel. I don't know about you, but I never use a guitar stand on stage.
No, I don't use a stand on stage either. It's too problematic.
Yes, especially when you're trying to get in and out of a venue.
Yeah.
That's it's an extra piece of gear to carry. If you're playing in a big city like we do, like if you're playing in Hollywood or something like that, if you're sitting on the edge of a street on Sunset, if you're playing the Viper Room or something like that, right? Do you really want an extra thing to carry that you don't specifically need? Because at some point you're gonna have to trust somebody to watch your gear while you go to the car or into the venue.
To get your car to bring it up to load your gear in from the parking lot. That's a block or two, right?
And it's like, is that stand worth it? For me, what I always do is I pull my guitars out of their gig bags, tune them, stick them back in the gig bag, and then lean them against the wall, right? That, to me, is the safest thing because no beer's getting on it if anybody spills it. No beer's getting on it.
You're probably not going to knock it over if it's out of the way.
If it falls over, it's in a case-ish. Even if it's unzipped, it's still safe-ish, right? Mic stand falling over doesn't dent it or scratch it. And the big problem with a lot of guitar stands for me is like if I'm playing a big stage like a boat.
Yeah, a boat will work.
Boat is awesome, right? If I bring 3-4 guitars, that's awesome. But if I'm just going in for a 30-minute set at some place, it's like just put it in his gig bag and lean against the wall after you tune it, and that for me is plenty to work with.
And also too with doing stuff he was talking about sitting on the street. I don't know how it is in New York and other cities, big city Chicago. Chicago was kind of like LA a little bit, but I haven't played too many big cities that differ. But the sitting on the street, I don't know how many of you musicians deal with it, but here in LA, it's very common to be out on the street. The guy opens the door, says you're on stage, you load on your stage, you're done playing, they kick you off back on the street.
Yes.
It sucks.
Yes. You've got like 15 minutes. They open up the doors, you shuttle your stuff in, you set up in 10 minutes, then you're like, okay, we're all done, and you're in the vibe, and they're like I'll shuttle it all out to the street corner.
And you can't, and then you're like, now I got my gear. I can't go back in and hang out with people and drink some beers or have some fun.
Exactly,
whatever.
which is important because as part of the gig,
I think clubs screw that up. They don't get it.
No, you're supposed to be socializing and mixing and trying to get that camaraderie. So for me, gear, right? Try and bring what you need, not what you don't need. Like
pedalboard case. That's what I was going to say. I forgot to say that. Yeah, because you're waiting on the street. Don't bring your case for your pedalboard if you can help it.
Oh yeah.
Just bring the pedalboard because the case is something extra. You're not going to be able to. Have time
so this will probably be different in LA than it would be in New York. So.
Oh, true. In New York, though, you do it differently.
So like in LA. You have a place to park your car.
Yeah, good point.
So you can park your car and you can go ahead and leave the pedal board or any cases inside your trunk, and then carry the real gear to the street corner. Right. Wait for them to let you in, and then you go in and you're cool.
Yeah.
Despite all the dysfunction of it all, I never had anything intentionally stolen at a gig, which is really amazing. It's like I've left stuff to be watched by fans, friends,
random dudes. Hey,
random dude is like, you just watch this for a minute while I carry my guitars, because you are making that calculation of what's more important if something gets stolen, my guitar or that head. You stay with the head. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the guitar because it's special to me. But I've never really had any big issues. I do constantly gain and lose mic stands.
Oh yeah. There's big shows.
Microphones.
You always end up with something, and then you're short one gig, and then all of a sudden you have 3 extras. You're like, what the hell?
It's funny. I don't think I've bought ever a guitar stand. Every guitar stand that I own
has been
is
accumulated?
Something that I've accumulated from a gig. I never take.
So that's where my stands went. They went to you. Huh?
No, it's like somehow everybody loaded everything out on the street. Somebody helped me put it in the car, and I show up at home, and it's like,
somebody put extra stuff in there.
I got a guitar stand, right? So
microphone stand, and speaking of microphones, though, also sound guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you bring your own microphones? Do you use their microphones?
Yes.
Nowadays, I'd bring my own microphone.
Well, first off, so if you don't know how to clean the microphone, first off, that there's spit and stuff like that. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know. 58, I don't know how to clean. I don't know how to clean a 57.
Yeah, it's the same way, right?
Can you take the cup off a 57?
Oh no, you don't even take it off, right? If you just put isopropyl alcohol, like a 1/4 inch, in a cup,
and just
then dip the top in it and just kind of swirl it around. So the microphone, the mount, the protection stuff, the diaphragm is like a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch inside.
Oh, okay.
So you just do it just like an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch, right? And you kind of put the top.
Did you guys get that? Because I didn't even know that. So
yeah,
so there you go.
And then that'll work. In a pinch, right? Because I love tequila.
Wash out the tequila.
Right. I
have
forgotten my microphone. I did this like 2 weeks ago at a rehearsal. In COVID time. Yeah. Right. Went to a rehearsal studio and they bring out the microphones and I'm like, crap, I forgot mine. Right. So I took some tequila, put it in a bag. I had a little Ziploc baggie and I just like zipped right. And I may have overdone it because all night that microphone like just smelled like tequila, but. It's like it's not the highest alcohol content, but at least it was something in the world of COVID.
And sound guys though do like it kind of when you bring your own mics too.
Yes.
Yeah, because they don't have to worry about theirs getting stolen, broken, or whatever, and less used. I guess so.
Yeah. Well, how many times have you seen somebody intentionally drop a microphone and the soundman's yelling at it?
Exactly. I hate that mic drop thing. It's like that's fine. They made a point when it happened. Whoever first did it, but damn, that's expensive, man.
Yes. Well, and how many times have you sung in that microphone? It no longer has any high end. Yeah, exactly. Sounds all whirly and no.
And but speaking of sound guys.
Yes. So a couple things.
Treat your sound guy good.
Well, let's number one, when you first go in, it's always a good idea to introduce yourself to the sound man. Be kind to your sound man, door guy, bouncers.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really a good idea to treat them nice. Buy them a beer.
Yeah.
Give them a few bucks, right? Because they really don't honestly get paid that well.
Tip them, yeah. If you throw them $50.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, even a 20 in there, they're thrilled, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right. And you can't make them better than they are.
There's a limit, but you get them.
They have their skill level, and that's what you're going to deal with for the night.
But you get them to care less or more.
Right.
Or more, I should say.
Okay. So here's another thing, right? So 412s. I always play 4 for 12.
Of course.
Right. Soundmen are always telling you to turn it down. Something most people don't realize is that when you play a 412, 412s beam like a tube, and they're loudest out about 60 feet out. So it's the first thing I do when I go to a gig is I point my 412 right at the sound man, and then I scoot it 15 degrees out of direction, right? Because usually when you look at most guitar players, they'll face it right at the sound man because they're like facing to the center of the room.
Right, yeah, he's out in the center somewhere.
And then the sound man, all they can hear is guitar from your 412, and they take you out of the PA system, which means that anybody that's like between you and the sound man, they can hear your guitar, right? But 90% of the rest of the club hears nothing, right? Yeah. So face it away so that now you can hear it, the band can hear it, it's on stage, you're happy. But don't face it straight at the the sound man, right? And it's different for different amps. Right? 212 will beam differently than a 412, right? Okay. 112s and 212s are usually open back,
right.
So it has a whole other. They beam less and they go everywhere. Yeah. But the point is that don't ever face it straight at the sound man unless you want a bad mix.
Yeah. There's that too. Yeah. But but once again, you tip him good. Maybe buy him a drink. He might not care as much that cameron's pointed at him. Just saying.
Right. If he likes it.
Or he'll be polite to you. Say, hey brother, it sounds great. Can you just tangle a little bit? As opposed to you're too loud, turn down. So Yes. There's a temperament that changes for sure. So treat your sound guy good. It helps.
Treat your sound man well.
It really does.
Right. Well, and treat yourself good because be smart. Like, don't face your amplifier at your singer because then your singer can't sound really good, right? Face it away, right?
Yeah.
Face it.
Unless you're my old singer who wants me to pun it to him. Eric always wanted me to just stick it at his face.
Recently, I was reading a thing about Mr. Big. Mm-hmm. Right. I was reading a Paul Gilbert thing, right? Right. And his pedal board has a split off his guitar signal.
Okay.
Before it gets to distortion pedals into the amp, because the singer does not like to hear distorted guitar. So they take the clean guitar signal and feed it to his
So
monitor.
he gets a clean guitar.
He gets a clean, plinky guitar.
Ooh,
right?
That's weird.
Right?
Imagine like you're singing in like... Jing, jing, ding, ding, ding. Oh, that'd be weird.
But think about it. It's
but it
like,
makes sense.
It makes total sense because guitar and vocals, distorted guitar, they have this similar frequency. They fight with each other. So he wants to hear himself, right? So be conscious of your other bandmates, right?
Yeah, that's true. For sure.
in things like if you do want to play a little bit loud.
Yeah, angle the cab.
Yeah, angle the cab.
Yeah, because there's guys. I mean, JD Simo, I think out of Nashville, kind of blues rock player, whatever, but would rock a full stack 100-watt plexi in a small club, but he'd literally take the entire cabinet and turn it to his band, so it's not even going out in the audience.
Yes.
But then he's diming it, so you're getting that big sound that's waffling the walls and not shooting you in the ears.
Yeah, well, it's like I was watching this video, a Led Zeppelin video the other day, and it's like their earliest gigs on and
like 6970 stuff.
Yeah, and his amps and cabinets are actually at the front of the stage.
Oh, they're out in front of them.
In front of him.
Oh, that's like old school. That's
right. Which most people don't realize. That's why open back cabinets are open back.
Yeah, and why the knobs are on the top.
Yeah, why
because
the
you
knobs
always sat behind the jazz guys. That's why you read it this way.
Well, even like if you were like an early rock band, like a basement, you were supposed to set your basement on the edge of the stage.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you could turn the knobs, and you had sound going to the audience and to you as well.
Yeah, because all the writing too on the front faces this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But point is do keep your volume down if you can. We as guitar players, we tend to hate our amplifiers if the power amp is not pushing, and I can go into a whole hour-long spiel of why and other things, but it's true. If you guitar tone, real core guitar tone that he and I love, and that most of you love on all the records you love and stuff like that, comes from distorting the power amp section, not the preamp section. And when you go to your classic Marshall or something like that, modern Marshall, and turn the master volume down, you're no longer pushing the power amp section, and they start to sound thin and weeny and stuff like that. That's why we as guitar players go, it doesn't feel right. Well, it doesn't feel right because tubes aren't hitting, which isn't robbing voltage, which isn't causing the B plus voltage to change, which isn't causing it to sag, and
over my head.
Yeah, and all kinds of stuff starts to get sad. So number one, sometimes put facing the amp out away from the band and away from the PA system and away from the audience. It allows you to turn it up a little bit more, which is a great thing to do. Number two, a lot of people are using, one, there are certain modelers like the Boss Katana, which right, they've designed it to try and mimic the impedance and everything like that, even at a low volume. Right. So you've got modern amplifiers that are trying to do that.
Kempers and things like that, all those pedal board things and stuff like that. Yeah.
Or like I use, when I'm trying to crank, like I've got that Waza TAE, right, which is a reactive load device, which can bring it down to try and get it up. That try and bring down your stage volume, but bring up your amp volume. Is a challenge. But if you can do it, you'll get a better.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, because this is also. I mean, these things have been around for a while. I mean, that's not technically a power soak, is it?
No.
No, power soak's AC.
Well, power soak's just they're flat frequency response. You're not responding to the amplifier.
No, right.
So they kind of sound whizzy.
Yeah. So speaker loads, I guess, things that kind of been around, but like I'm surprised now. I mean, I'm not surprised. I would say I won't be surprised if from here on out we see a lot more of the with the the TAs or the UAs or whoever, and all these companies that make. There's a lot of companies that make them.
Yeah. So
because that will allow you to get that bigger feeling sound at a lower volume.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So or even like I've talked with Eric Johnson II and stuff like that about using them when he plays smaller clubs, just using his plexis straight into it,
Right, okay.
and going DI out because they got the cab simulation.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. There you go.
Which is so funny because guitar players are typically afraid of a DI cab sim, right? Although it's becoming more and more popular to do.
It is,
especially with in-ear monitors and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. It's starting to matter less,
right.
for sure.
But like the gig I just played in Oregon, right? I had a setup. I set up a pedal board that I could give him a DI with cab simulation off one channel, and at the same time I could feed whatever amp was going to be, at the gig, right? Which turned out to be the twin.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, so just take the DI out, and I'll use this as my stage monitor, right? And he's like, right? I don't do that. Right? And I'm like he's like, I'm a guitar player. No, I can't do that.
Oh, that's funny. The guy wouldn't do it for you because he's a guitar player.
Because he's got that old school like a microphone in front of him.
I can't do it, bro.
No, I got to give you good tone, man. Right?
That's awesome.
And today there are different ways of getting that and being very successful,
sure.
right?
A lot of people do it.
Well, and we were talking earlier today about if you're playing a gig, we've played massive, large stages that are open air,
Yes.
right? And we'll have. I've had 200-watt Marshall full stacks, half stacks behind me, dimed, right?
Yeah.
Doing the amplifier the way you want, and you're like, this is amazing. And then you walk 20 feet away, and you're like, where'd it go? Right?
Yeah, you walk over to see your singer or your other guy.
It's like I hear nothing, right? Well, it's so weird. So
So I mean, loud is fun, but at a point there's a point. Because you got to get outside, or even bigger stages.
Well,
to a point, a large stage if you just had a half stack on like a House of Blues stage, it's easy to walk away and you will not hear it unless you're getting through the monitors.
Yeah,
and hopefully you are, or the sideway.
It's in a modern day world, and I think this is another topic that we could have for another future video or something like that. It's interesting that for rehearsal at home, you want a feel of an amplifier full volume,
right?
But you got to be quiet,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
For rehearsal with a band at a local like at a local rehearsal place, you need an amplifier that's loud enough to get over the entire band.
Yeah, get over the drum and the PA.
Right? Right? Because I've taken devices that you can plug direct into the PA and literally seen the signs on it that says, "Do not plug your modeler into our PA system." Right? Because
I never experienced that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay.
Well, and I tried it one night, and within 5 minutes, I blew the PA. Right. But then when you get to a smaller gig, which has a small PA system, you need a big amp. But if you're playing in front of 20, 30,000 people, you can plug direct because...
Well, yeah, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole other thing.
Right? So it's really interesting how you need like small, big... It's so like the medium and smaller guitar players need a bigger amp.
I guess so, huh?
Right?
Yeah, for clubs, the size of clubs.
Versus the bigger guitar players, as far as like touring.
Touring.
Yeah. They don't need that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, a lot of guys will run. I mean, yeah.
I mean, imagine in-ear monitors with I had a good conversation with Phil Collin once, and it was a similar thing.
Yeah, right? I remember, because Def Leppard once. I remember one of the year back in, I think it was the '80s, early '90s or something. I think it was the '80s. It was the first one they did in the round. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the '80s. I think it was the '80s. They didn't have any amps on stage. It was all, they were like combo stuff or things underneath the stage shooting up to grates.
So Phil Collin was telling me once
monitors, everything was
this event I was at, and he was talking about how live he has amps on stage that are kind of under the stage.
Right, okay.
That are for the bass player.
Oh.
Because he's got in-ear monitors, but the bass player wants to hear a real amp on stage.
Oh, that makes sense. All right.
And interestingly, what he hears on stage and what he hears in his in-ears is like this highly distorted, over-delayed signal. Right? It's got way too much effects and stuff like that on it, but it's fun for him.
Oh, in his ears.
Right?
Okay.
But they take a DI off his guitar, and they're taking it to the PA, and the sound front of house does a sound that is correct to the album with a different set of like modelers or whatever they're using. All right.
That's awesome. Right. I have this sound because it's fun, but we got that sound because it's right.
Right, exactly.
That's awesome.
Because isn't that true? It's like
no, you're right. Yeah. One's fun to play, one's practical.
It's like how many people play stereo. Right, you only play stereo for yourself. The audience doesn't get
care,
it, right?
But
it's awesome on stage if you ever do.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, Well, let's talk real fast. We've talked a lot.
Yes, we have.
Right?
We went longer than we were supposed to.
Yeah, that's right. But we did talk about what you should bring to the gig.
Yeah, less can be more at times because, like you say, if you're loading from a street inward, you don't need a lot of miscellaneous crap. Have your stuff pared down to what you need, and so you can guitar, cable, pedal board or not, amp. You have cabin, and then and a lot of times nowadays, I don't know how it is. It's probably this way nowadays everywhere, but we do have a lot of clubs now are doing smaller ones do the backlined cabs.
Yes,
yeah,
a lot
so
of times they'll have an amp and you can just run in with a head and just plug right in.
But have all that together, know what you're going to take.
Okay, and if you're doing a flyaway gig, right, which we were talking about earlier today, a lot of people don't know what you can get away with at the airport.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds and hundreds of trips with guitars on airlines, and so what you need to know is this. Number one, if you have a guitar in a gig bag, you can go through TSA, you can go to the flight, and you can put it in the overheads.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's a really small plane, like a commuter jump plane.
Oh, okay.
Right? If it doesn't fit, then they'll take it from you and they'll put it in last in a warmer area.
Right. It's not down in the non-pressurized area.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are worried about your guitar, you can take a hard case through TSA.
Okay.
And go to the airplane. They will not let you take it onto the plane, but they will take it and do a gate check it, right? And they'll put it in a good place, and it's fine.
All right.
Now,
that's good to know.
In this gig, for example, that I just did 2 weeks ago, I took 2 guitars. I told you I take 3 everywhere, so that was a big deal for me to take 2. Right. I'm like
being daring.
Right. No. I was literally trying to talk my singer into not taking his guitar and letting me take a third, and then he could just use mine.
Right. That's awesome.
Right. It's like well, just. Right. So, for that gig, I put one guitar in a SKB road case.
Okay. So hard case.
Checked it just with my luggage.
Wow.
And then the other guitar I took on the plane in a gig bag with me.
And you stick it above, right?
And I stuck it right above.
Okay, yeah.
Now, the only reason I trust putting that guitar in the hard case in baggage claim is because you have to worry about cold.
Yeah.
Right. So this guitar and this guitar are they're nitrocellulose
it's all nitro.
lacquer type finish. If they go from too hot to too cold too fast, they will check. The finish will start to crack, right? And some people like to do that once in a while, and they take a cold can of
compressed air. Guarantee a way to check your guitar. Turn it upside down and spray it on, and just listen to it crack.
It's like ice.
Only on nitro though, not poly.
Right. So. If it's polyurethane, all right, then it's probably gonna be fine, right?
Yeah. It's plastic.
It's plastic.
It can handle temperature shifts. It doesn't give and flex as well. Actually, lacquer does flex good, but lacquer checks. Poly doesn't check. It's plastic. It does flex, but it will also chip.
Right.
It's kind of weird. It's all weird how it works. I don't know enough about the chemical makeup of stuff, but
so the interesting thing is that I wanted to take my Les Paul. I wanted to take this guy.
Right.
But I don't want to take it in a gig bag because headstocks can break in a gig bag if they get any pressure on them, and so I didn't want to take it on a plane with me.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't want to take it and check it. So I have another ESP
LTD.
Paul,
and
it's polyurethane, so that's what I took with me instead, right? So just be conscious and take something that'll work appropriately for you.
We're rambling on about that, sorry.
Okay, so
point being, there's things you can do. So
yes,
I get carried away with it. I'm sorry.
What? Us? Carried away? What? Talk too much? What? So getting out of the gig, right? When you're leaving, is there anything that's important to do? Right. I usually try and thank the sound man. Right.
Oh yeah. That's true.
And I will argue that everybody's always worried about the sound man, doing a good mix. I will argue that you will like a band with a bad mix who has a good monitor mix because they play better together.
Right. Yeah. You'll get a better performance out of a band if their mix on stage is better than whether regardless up front.
Your girlfriend's best friend who came to the gig doesn't know if it's too bright, too dark, if this is too loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But But if the band is playing shitty,
right, and they can know if the band or if the band's playing good. Yeah.
So spend your time, trying to figure out what you want in your mix. Spend your time on that, right? When you're getting set up, don't be worried about the audience's sound, right? Is my personal opinion. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Make sure you're comfortable on stage.
Yeah, because
that's where your performance is going to be the best.
Yeah. If you've got a good monitor mix, and everything's going well, the band just rocks.
Yeah.
You guys sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, how many things? Think about it. How many things do you listen to bootlegs of bands that you like, and you're like that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It really, honestly, sounds
terrible.
like crap, right?
Terrible.
But the performance was there, and you still like it. It's like
true.
it's like we listen to music through our iPhones these days. That's
from downloaded MP3 or streamed like low bit resolution compared to
it's
whatever,
and it's all fine,
and we're fine with it exactly.
So I would say pay attention to that when you're getting out of the gig. Obviously. Delegate some duties, right? It is important.
There's that, make your singer do something. Because singers don't bring nothing to the gig most of the time, unless they're a guitar player singing, but you know what I mean. Maybe a microphone.
If you're lucky, I'd bring it back.
Exactly.
Right? But at the same time, it's like, know your audience. Like, I've done gigs where I know there's important people in the audience.
Sure.
And I need to send my singer off to be
the guy
to go talk to those people.
There's that too,
right? And I'm going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
Versus, I know there's times that it's like I need to also go out and talk to people, and I get my bass player to help me with my gear.
Right. Yeah.
And so focus on that, right? And then getting out of the gig, try not to steal any mic stands that are not yours. Try not to steal any guitar stands that are not yours. Try not to steal any microphones that are not yours. Right?
Oh, really quick too, side note, but just going along with the kind thing, help the bands on before and after you.
Oh.
If you're about to go on, help them get their gear off. I mean, it's not a dickish thing to do, so to speak, because I mean, you may feel like you may think you're rushing them, and sometimes you get people who think, hey man, don't rush me. It's like, no. If they got cabs and heads, help them carry it off.
Yeah.
The drummer, help them out. They'll appreciate it. And like, 'cause I know I do. When we've had people, I've had like even audience members or friends that come up and grab drums and take them off. That's awesome. So nothing wrong with that. Help the bands out, because then other bands will see that, and then they'll help the band out. And you get help, and they get help, and everybody's helping each other, and it's so much better.
Oh yeah. And also, in all honesty, pay attention when they get on to see if they've forgotten something.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. The better their gig is, the better your gig's going to be, because you're getting on and off on time. I mean, it's really a symbionte of everything.
Yeah, but it's like there is I think a musician courtesy, right? Yeah. It's like how many times have you been to a gig where it's like a drummer has blown out their kick drum pedal, right? And it's like if you can help them out, goodwill goes around, man.
Yeah, we keep going on. I got another story, but it's too much. It's too much long. First gig in LA. First gig I ever played, not in LA, but first gig I played on Sunset Strip. You were there.
Yeah.
Gazzari's. Drummer broke a snare.
Yes.
So they yelled at me how to do a guitar solo. Now, mind you, cool. I got a guitar solo. Woo! But the other band lent us their snare. So we were able to finish the set. So, I mean,
right.
That's a perfect example right there.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I got a guitar solo.
Right. And then also we should talk about green room amps.
Oh, there's that. Oh, God, it's too long.
Right, we've already talked way too long.
Way too much.
So why don't we close this up?
We'll close this out. Right? We'll do another one.
We'll make some more stories about these things. Right. So this is Jason.
I'm Jeff.
Right. This is beer.
This is beer. No.
So please put your comments in the, we'd love to hear what you guys think, what you need to know, how we can help you out with any guidance, suggestions, or anything like that. Or I'm sure that, as we ramble on, we did make notes, but, we kind of went off track a little bit. If there's something that we missed that you think is a good idea for everybody to know, please put comments in, let everybody know, and maybe we'll vamp on those a little bit more at another point in time.
Click gold, like, and subscribe, please.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please. Right? And for now, let's wrap this up and say, have good gigs, right?
Yes.
And we wish you guys all good luck.
Hey, bye.